We're here just outside the city of Kostiantynivka, and the work of these guys is once again proof that their role hasn't gone anywhere. The future of the delivery of this kind of NATO standard ammunition is really under question, with the US administration not looking like it's going to send any new shells, and Ukraine will rely, hang on. And Ukraine won't be able to do that as often as it does.
Тобто, якщо щось побачимо, то одразу
Та випригуємо
в сторону і
просто можна на ходу даже випригуємо.
You can see burned civilian cars from Russian drones just heading out, and we're in a civilian car as well now, which is still in a way safer than being in a military car, because there's still a chance that the Russian drone pilot that might see you will have a little bit of mercy. But you see by the civilian cars on the road that doesn't always work either. So any kind of protection, this kind of tunnel of nets, which is now popping up all over the front line, is a useful thing to have. And for the military cars, obviously electronic warfare, but that doesn't help when it's a fiber optic drone and so on. In fact, the best form of protection is speed and rain. Що тут сталося?
На машину FPV-шка влупила, згоріла. Посеред дня, це 11 ранку.
We're here to visit an artillery crew of Ukraine's 28th Mechanized Brigade, which has fought in this part of Donetsk Oblast ever since the height of the Battle of Bakhmut over 2 years ago. As Russia's summer offensive heats up, the 28th Brigade's sector has become one of the hottest parts of the front line. Rarely does a day go by without multiple Russian assaults on Ukrainian lines, and in turn, this beast of a howitzer doesn't tend to stay silent for long.
Постріл! Постріл! Увага! Постріл! Постріл!
With the transformation of war that has happened here in Ukraine into a war almost primarily of drones, some people start to say that artillery doesn't have a role anymore, or it's been replaced completely. But we're here just outside the city of Kostiantynivka, and the work of these guys is once again proof that their role hasn't gone anywhere, and they're still playing an important job. You can see it's early afternoon, it's just started to rain a bit, and that's the best time for the Russian forces to move forward with their infantry squad assaults because the drones can't fly in the air. And what do you want when that happens? You want firepower, specifically 155 millimeter NATO howitzer shells raining down on your enemy. And that's what we have had here. There are other howitzers working in this area as well.
For now, this crew has a healthy flow of 155mm shells to work with, but this might not be the case for long. With the arrival of Donald Trump to the US presidency, the chance of funding for new Ukraine aid packages to be passed are next to zero. Now, amid the Pentagon's decision to halt ammunition deliveries that were already paid for in the last supplemental, and with European production still lagging behind, a new shell hunger looms over the horizon. But as the murky geopolitical games continue in the halls of power, the defense of Ukraine must go on. Here, just like all across the battlefield, the line is held by ordinary Ukrainians who understand what is at stake. 20-year-old Ivan, call sign Mali, meaning little one, spent the first 2 years of the full-scale war outside Ukraine, but nonetheless came back and enlisted.
Вирішив піти на контракт. Друзі, їхні батьки, з котрими я спілкувався, яких я знаю дуже давно, були, звичайно, проти, відговарювали. Я казав, добре, не піду, а сам ходив в військкомат, збирав документи, медкомісію проходив. До цього не цікавився армією. Ось у мене були інші пріоритети на життя ще з самого дитинства. Я, чесно кажучи, мріяв стати футболістом. А татуху, от. Зробив я її ще перед цим, як мав їхати. Це Серхіо Кун Агуеро. Це мій самий такий любимий футболіст. От. Чесно так сказати, гасити орків. Це саме таке. Просто таке уявлення, що моє перше таке. Бо як я подивився, як їхали з позиції на позицію, бачив багато покинутих цих многоетажок. І таке трошки смуту наводило, що раніше тут жили люди, був реально такий двіж. А потім, коли це все бачиш, що воно стоїть в руїнах і воно трошки так наводить смуту. Що люди, таке, коротше.
Crew commander Maxim Buhas had served in the military for over 9 years, but transferred to artillery just a few months ago.
Машина у нас М109. Имя ее Франкенштейн, потому что она собрана с разных машин. Как контрбатарейный, мы пока давно не использовали. Максимальная досягаемость машины это 30 километров где-то на Арсах. Так относительно сейчас километров 13-16 по пехоте.
У вас до бою.
Плюс.
With more fire missions coming in, the work of the howitzer crew continues into the afternoon. From the dugout, the commander passes instructions to his men, who dial in the gun, load, and fire.
Заряжай.
Постріл!
Плюс. Тяжелые техники, даже танки, они же уже прячут, они имеют как артиллерия, как с аушками работают там, на 14 километров. Тоже маскируются так же самое. Много маленьких групп просто заходят и всех не просачиваются сильно. Маленькими группами. Григорьевич, заряжай.
One after the other, the shells head downrange at Russian infantry groups spotted creeping through a tree line.
Плюс.
So, since Russian forces have made a lot of progress on the western flank of the city of Kostiantynivka, where we are right now is becoming a pocket, kind of almost surrounded on three sides. Not quite yet, logistics is still possible to get inside, but the whole area is being controlled by drones, and offensive operations are only picking up the pace at this point. And that's why it's super important that Ukraine still has the ability, even though the battlefield is now dominated by drones, to lay down heavy firepower like this on the enemy. We come, of course, now at a time when the future of the delivery of this kind of NATO standard ammunition is really under question, with the US administration not looking like it's going to send any new shells, and Ukraine will rely, hang on. And Ukraine won't be able to do that as often as it does. And sometimes it's easy to just look at these things in an abstract way and talk about the battlefield, getting tougher because there's a shell hunger. But in reality, there's usually a very clear price that the country is paying in territory and in the lives of its people by not being able to lay down this firepower. So for now, they still have shells. They were surged to Ukraine, of course, at the end of the Biden administration. And for a while under Trump, they have still kept coming. But of course, this is now going to be really uncertain in the future.
As Russia's summer offensive heats up, only time will tell for how long Ukraine can keep its big guns firing. In the meantime, the artillerymen of the 28th Brigade keep their heads down and push on, knowing exactly what they're fighting for.
Плюс. Сын у меня, он 7 лет, тоже не хочется, чтобы он это заставил уже, чтобы это все закончилось. Чтобы это... Вот я сюда. В коленном глазе. Чтобы он это потом тоже не продолжал.
Мотивую те, щоб вигнати оцю погань, щоб вона більше ніколи в житті не сунулася сюди. Це, це в принципі такі. Кожен хтось тут захищає свій дім, свою сім'ю. Кожного є свої причини, чому вони пішли сюди. Моя маленька двоюрідна сестра, ось вона має піти в 1 клас. Саме головне, щоб вона росла здорова, і щоб у неї просто було мирне небо над головою. Це саме таке головне.
None of what we do here at the Kyiv Independent would be possible without our amazing community of members. If you want to join us to support independent journalism and let us keep coming to the front line to bring you the battlefield like we're doing here, join us by clicking the link in the description below. Thank you.